Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 277. Let's see who shows up. I'm ready to get back to just kind of like the normal trials. I felt like over the past couple weeks we've just kind of gone out of our way to draft the new champions, and now that we've actually gone out and drafted everyone except for Nasus. I don't think I've seen Nasus across any of our, I don't know, 8 or 10 trials, however many we've done, but nonetheless, I still will take this Jarvan here. Kind of realistically, if we're looking for who is the best champion, I wouldn't take this Katarina first. This is a decent Katarina, not how I really like to start out with her, but she tends to just be a support champion and a very good one at that. This Relentless Noxus card pool is pretty good. It's just not one I like to start with. Like if we show up in the second pack and have to take someone like Lux or Heimerdinger or even someone that is combat oriented but doesn't want to be paired with Noxus like Callista, then we kind of have a wasted pick. I really like it when we're a little bit more flexible than taking a support champion first. So over here with the Gangplank, he is a reasonable start. Mega Keg to me is worse than Raiding Party, but it's still a pretty reasonable card pool. But this is not a good Gangplank start. When we're playing with Mega Keg, kind of the ideal cards to be starting with are the powder keg generating units. So there's the 2/2 for 2 that generates a powder keg. Then there's the 3/1 for 3 rare that generates a powder keg. Those are the units we're looking to start with if we're going to build this powder keg theme. Don't really want to be starting off with double up or parlay. So we'll come down here with Jarvan. Kind of the problem with this Jarvan is the curve is extremely bad, and that's one of the problems that we really fight with if we're on the elite side of this deck. And then also if we're on the elite side of this deck, helps to actually start out with some elites. And so this is kind of a weaker start with Jarvan, but I think it should realistically be okay. So let's talk about him a little more. We're getting pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbus.com. It's where I keep all of my expedition-related content. We're just going to click the little drop-down box, scroll down to Jarvan, and kind of take a peek at what lives here. And so, yeah, in general with Jarvan, there's a couple of different strategies that you can undertake. He does have a card pool named Challenger, and that's what he's very good at, what this pool is good at. So if you do want to pursue this Challenger theme, I think you really need to get yourself paired up with Shurima, which you're guaranteed to do with taking Jarvan first, since he's paired up card pool wise with Renekton. We're guaranteed to see a Shurima pack second pick. So if all else fails, we can guarantee that we get paired up with Shurima and chase down that vulnerable theme there. Kind of the other thing that you can look to do with him is to draft towards just this full elites build around. We're familiar with doing this with Jarvan or with Garen. The kind of big deals there being Battlesmith and reinforcements, and then we're going to build our deck looking to find Vanguard Bannerman. And so we want it to be an allegiance deck, and this does really help out in the elite sense that the problem with elites was finding some good early game plays. It's very easy to have a late game full of even starting with Vanguard First Blade, but more so along the lines of heavy infantry at 5. We have 2 5-cost units in our opening pack now, and then in the later stages finding things like Genvivi and Cythria. It's just very easy to find the top end of your curve, not easy to find the bottom. So, Jarvan does help fill that out with Penitent Squire at 1, additional way to find Battlesmith at 2, and then Honored Lord, the new unit, at 2. And so he does help push the curve down, which is a big problem here. Just kind of one of the things we'll have to play towards. So, we'll either look to build towards elites or we'll look to build towards this Challengers theme. If we want to build towards Challengers, we either need to take the Shurima pack second or we need to take a Noxus pack. So we'll see how it plays out. Then, of course, as it always stands, we don't actually have to go and build around Jarvan. This is one of the better pools to actually just go and build towards, though. Okay, so interesting set. So as far as these go, Retribution Callista could be okay. She pairs up over here with Lucian, and so that is kind of one of the things we could pull off. I'm not really excited about that with our start. I don't really like doing Callista build arounds that aren't just kind of like full Shadow Isles builds, and so it could be okay. It's just none of these cards are cheap enough to really interact with what Callista's doing. And over here with this Incubator's Lysandra, there's like a few card pools I'm okay with pulling this off with. And so if we'd taken that Gangplank first, that Mega Keg Gangplank, and then we saw this Incubator's Lysandra, that would be an all-star pack. Those two are going to play fantastically together. But if we aren't doing like Plunders or the Gangplank level up thing of dealing damage to your opponents, if you aren't playing some kind of deck that really wants to have access to Ice Shard, then you're not really got to be getting good usage out of Lissandra. So we are going to be in Slayers Nasus. This is actually a fantastic pickup with Jarvan. Outside of our curve being absolutely abysmal now with 1-4, 2-5s, and 3-6s, we're just going to have to do everything we can to push our curve down. But nonetheless, this is going to be, in my opinion, the best start that we can get here. And so we'll pull this up as well. The reason that I actually call out this Nasus Slayers as being a good pack is because both Nasus Slayers and Challenger Renekton have the set of cards we're super interested in, those being Exhaust, Rockhopper, and Ruthless Predator at the commons, and then having Bakai Reaper in the not the Reaper, I'm sorry, the Bakai Sandspinner in the rares, and then along with having Rampaging Bakai in the rares. And so, what we kind of see if we're really wanting to piece together this Challenger's deck is, we need to focus on two things. We need to keep our curve really low. We need to find these early game challenger plays. I guess I should say three things. And then we also need to find cards that can survive challenges. And so, kind of out of the Shurima side of this, we're going to be looking for Exhaust, Rockhopper, Ruthless Predator. These are our cheap ways to get things into combat. And then we're going to need our units to actually survive those combats. And so Exhaust kind of helps out with that on its own. But if, we're going to vulnerable hook something down with Rockhopper, we want that unit to survive. And so if we take a peek back to the Jarvan side, real close. Some of these are good at that. Like Honored Lord shows this very well. He can challenge something down and survive it. Having things like Gallant Rider also extremely good at this. And so we don't want to find ourselves in this spot to where we've played a Ruthless Predator onto a unit, and then we challenge down one of our opponent's units and get 2 for 1 with our opponent not really doing anything to force that. We got to find a way to kind of have these things survive. And then, kind of the other thing that we could be doing with this Nasus here is what I kind of call the Super Friend strategy. We can look to use these Rite of Callings to draw champions, these Siphoning Strikes to level up our champions, and then look to be a champion-focused deck where we're really trying to make kind of big champions here. If we do want to pursue this strategy, then we are going to want to be almost mono Shurima. We can see the unit we're looking for in Azir. It's Golden Ambassador, the Allegiance unit that draws our champions. And so, it does kind of leave us in the spot to where we're either looking to, number one, draft a Demacia Allegiance deck that's focused on elites. Number two, we want to draft a Shurima Allegiance deck focused on these leveling up our champions, or we want to have this kind of balanced deck design to where we're going to focus on the Challenger's theme. All of these are pretty reasonable themes. I probably just want to focus on whatever it looks like is going to have the cheap cards in it, because we can't really be taking any more expensive cards at this stage of the trial. But we'll see how this rolls out here. Okay, and so I'm like really tempted to just push in on elites here with the Defender and the Vanguard Squire. Kind of the problems we're running into here is I think like Weight of Judgment is the biggest trap in Shurima these days. Like it's a reasonable removal spell, but like Shurima has so many powerful 4-drops. Our deck is so top heavy right now. It's like, do I really want to sit around and add more 4-cost cards to our deck? It's pretty tough to be in this spot to want more of these. If this was like an Exhaust and a Rockhopper, or Exhaust and any card that cost 1, 2, or 3 mana, I would be pretty stoked to just go and snatch it up. But we can't just be adding more 4-drops to our deck at this point. And that's exactly what we're going to do with this Vanguard Squire, but at least this is something that can be cheaper. And so I think we do want to be pushing into this Demacian Steel. It doesn't force us into elites. It doesn't force us into any of these decks in particular. It just really helps us manage our curve. It does kind of push us away from drafting some of these like Super Friends decks, but I'm okay with that. Like I'm really okay with this if we end up in either a full-on Elites deck and we're able to say pick up a Lucian or a Fiora in the future. If we're able to draft a full-on Challengers deck and move in on Reductans later, that's just I'm ultimately super concerned about picking up early game plays. Okay, and this an awkward set. In our previous trial with Jarvan, I was like really upset with what happened with us once we started. We took a pack that had like Egghead Researcher and a dragon in it, and then we took another Egghead Researcher, and we ended up in the getting shown all of these dragons packs. It's not something I'm really wanting to have happen to us here, and I'm really not excited about what Dawn Speakers does. As far as these style of decks go, it's just too tough for us to we can kind of force some combats with all of our challengers, but if we're on this kind of theme to where we're trying to survive those combats, and this unit just doesn't do anything. And it really, in my opinion, needs to be paired up with like a Shadow Isles unit where we can just kind of kill off all our own units. And so, I'm not like super excited about picking up this Confront Redoubled Valor. Confront is horrible. This is one of these cards that I rank as an X across the board. But I kind of hope that this at least shapes our future picks more along the lines of where we're wanting to go. We're actually happy with a lot of these cards that show up in Suit Up and what's the other one? The other Fiora one. The Fiora pull that pairs with Shen. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I think, kind of like from a single pack standpoint that this one is certainly worse than the Dawn Speaker's Researcher, but I think this should hopefully set us up for seeing better picks throughout the remainder of the trial. Okay. Okay, this is like an actual real set of cards. It's pretty nice to see. I do love me a Rockhopper, but I think we want to push on this Exhaust and Gallant Rider. I think we're probably going to be pushing towards an elites theme, and this being an elite should hopefully help that happen. And then even in the event that it doesn't, this is one of the kind of key units in these challenger focused decks. And so I do love me a Rockhopper. I still think he's the best unit. Out of the Call of the Mountains, or not Call of the Mountain, out of the Empires of the Ascended set, but I think these two over here will be kind of our best way to go about it. Oh, and here's something beautiful. A one-drop Challenger with a Grand Plaza. Just can't ask for more. Absolutely easy pick. Okay. All right, well, sometimes you're just not given the option to take the cheap cards. And this is, I used to talk about it quite a bit. We don't touch on it too much anymore. But the reason I really don't like taking packs like this Boomerang Blade Raz is that, adding these two expensive cards in our deck really limits our ability to take expensive cards in the future. And so if this was like Raz and Sharp Sight, we would snatch it up, or Boomerang Blade Sharp Sight, we might be more interested in it. But it's so tough to take both of these expensive cards paired together. And then here, I don't even think Raz is going to be that good in our deck. This fearsome theme that Nasus is supposed to be kind of pulling off doesn't feel like super fleshed out at this stage of the game, and so I don't think this really has a lot of payoff. This isn't like playing with sea monsters where, that sea monster that does this ability to our opponents gives all of our units fearsome. And so the only like Slayers units that have fearsome are like Raz, that one drop that we haven't seen yet, and Nasus himself. And so it's not like super important in these style of decks. And so with this, I'm going to take the Sharp Sight Radiant. It feels like it's going to be the most manageable for our curve. Again, I want to avoid this Weight of Judgment trap. Vanguard First Blade is one of the weakest elites in the game, and so I'm not like really super excited about this pack. Hopefully the Sharp Sight will help carry us here. Okay, well, kind of interesting. It's going to come down to, do we want the War Chefs or the Honored Lord? And I'm just going to take the Honored Lord here. I would be okay with back-to-back. Like, these 6-cost spells are much easier to manage than 5-cost units, since we can play them with spell mana, but I'm mainly interested in having the Honored Lord here out of all of these cards. Okay. Well, we're taking an expensive here, and it's got to be this Captain Erika. I'm not like super, jazzed about Vanguard Lookouts, but I do want to keep adding these elites to our deck. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to pick up, more of the real elite cards. We've done a pretty good job of staying away from Shurima cards, so hopefully things like Vanguard Bannerman will start coming our way. But I do, will readily admit that it's kind of dire that we haven't found any of the elites build-arounds at this point. But we haven't found any removal spells up to this point, or at least any real ones. We don't have any detains or concerted strikes, so Captain Erika is pretty important in that sense. Okay, well, this is one of the more ideal packs we could find with the two-cost units. The War Chef's also playing extremely well with our other challengers and Fleet Feather Trackers, just all around everything we're looking for. I wouldn't be opposed to picking up Siphoning Strikes, but again, our curve is the most important thing we're really messing around with here. Cool, we can continue on with it. We got more Honored Lords. Ideally we would have some more Exhausts and Rockhoppers at this point, but kind of is what it is. There's nothing terrible about having just a vanilla 3/2 elite that you might be able to upgrade at some point. Okay. Keep showing these Weight of Judgments. No, we don't want anything to do with this. And so here, again, these early game elites and Cytheria, along with one of the Challenger elites. Pretty happy pickup. Even those Challengers even play pretty well with our Grand Plaza. So good stuff from there. All right, the elites keep coming on. The Vanguard Redeemer, Vanguard Cavalry, good stuff. We could arguably take the Chain Vest Blade Keeper. I don't like super like Chain Vest in these decks, but you know, it can be pretty reasonable on a Challenger. But I think we're okay with the Redeemer, Vanguard Cavalry. We don't have this huge amount of 3-drops that you typically see in elites decks. Okay, there could be an argument for the Hourglass Siphoning Strike, but I think if we're going to be picking up Sharamar cards at this point, it's just going to be from trade picks. You know, if we get shown an Exhauster or Rockhopper, we'll take it. Otherwise, I think we want to just keep pushing forth with these elites. All right, and then our last one. I am actually like really tempted to pick up Golden Aegis. This is just kind of one of the premier ways for these decks to close out the games. Like we have all these humongous units, but we don't have any ways to close out the game. Our opponent can just sit around and block, Jarvan over and over again, and make it really tough to close out. And these, rally attacks are typically a pretty good way to do it. But I don't think I want to trade away Cythria. I don't want to trade away our Vanguard Defender either. I would be like tempted to trade the Lookout for the Swiftwing Lancer, but our 5s are just like so full right now. I think we just have to skip over all of these. All right, and then as usual, we do have to go and turn something elite. I don't know if we even have any commons left at this point. I bet we haven't leveled up Honored Lord. He's going to be our boy this game. He's got. He's kind of playing dual themes here between our elites and our challengers. I think he's going to be the guy to go to here. Well, let's take a peek. Of course, we don't own him. We gotta burn some of these wild cards. Okay. All right, here we go. So yeah, not like real stoked with how this came together. Didn't if you're in elites, you want to see some of those real build around cards like Battlesmiths, but hopefully we'll be able to pick up some of this in the future. We got a lot of work to do to make this a reasonable deck, but at least these decks that have like a ton of stats in it and aren't really like thematically challenged, like we don't need like specific cards to make our units good, then hopefully it can kind of carry us through a couple of champion picks and a couple of trade picks and get us in a spot to where we can really trade into a real deck. But it is kind of concerning with how our deck has started out here. Nonetheless, not too bad. Unfortunately, we can't, get our units down in an intimidating fashion at this point. But it is a reasonable start between Honored Lord, War Chefs, to kind of pick on whatever he's doing.
The chains, they never stop.
Smell that? A fight's a cooking.
All the word and sprays. You got it, boss.
I've gotta get out of here.
Okay. Pretty cool to be able to come in and probably full clear his board.
Strange glow.
Not like he's adding anything meaningful here.
Feel the sizzle.
Then we can still sharp sight through this. Like if we get out of this without him having units on the board, and he can't play any of his sacrifice activators, it's just going to give us so much time here. Right, he can't. He has to do quite a bit of work here if he wants to start doing things with, say, like Blighted Caretakers. If he wants to sacrifice off some of his own units, then he's not going to have anything on the board to do it with. So, unfortunate to lose one, but we're still in a pretty reasonable spot here. Then with this, I think we just want to play one Honored Lord to bank up to 3 spell mana, and then have the Great Horde Companion for the next turn. And so, if we want to, give this like a Challenger Scout, we can do it. If we want to, Honored Lord down this inevitable 4/3, then we can do that as well. A lot of options here. We don't get super amounts of value out of a second Honored Lord.
Shoot me right out.
No honor in this.
Okay. he does, kind of farther ahead than us on cards, but hopefully it's not too bad. I'm going to say a lot of this should hopefully just be things added by Warden's Prey that don't really give him too much of an advantage. Okay. We can still confront the Honored Lord and hook down his Escaped Abomination. I assume that his idea here is to get the Cursed Keeper in front of Great Horn Companion.
They will sing of our deed here, dog. You won't leave a scratch.
Please, I have connections.
Okay.
I've learned a trick or two.
So, again, this theme is kind of, coming together reasonably. This is one of these spots where it's pretty good that we just have a ton of top end in our deck. Let's see. Oh, man. Oh, it's scary. I really want to redoubled Valor this Great Horn Companion, but we can't do it into this board. So this is a fine pass. Like we just can't risk this this companion dying to a black spear if we want to hit it with redoubled valor. So we need him to just spend a bunch of mana here, and then if he just passes and we get the open with the companion, that's pretty fine as well. But I'd rather see him spend like 5 mana or 6 mana on some kind of big unit, and then us be able to redouble valor our companion. Double check this. This Nocturne's not real. We don't want to say that he doesn't have Vengeances in his deck, but Nocturne doesn't have them in any of his card pools, so hopefully it's a little tougher for him to actually have these things. Oh boy. Right. One-time dealer. This could be bad. All right, cool. So he's only going to be an 8 attack instead of a 10, but it still gets the job done the same way. So being a non-attack, I guess that makes sense. You got +4 attack from the redoubled valor, and then he heals back up. We can safely play an Honored Lord. I don't think we're going to need to Weight of Judgment anything here. Like, I'm not going to Weight of Judgment this Destined Poro just to try to get him to block. We got plenty of time for this to do some work.
Keep the pace.
Okay. So we can play the Lookout and still bank up our 3 mana.
I have risen and with me, Shurima. Shurima never fell. It only awaited my return.
Good stuff, good stuff. All seems reasonable. This Nocturne is kind of scary if he's flipped with this Azir, just giving everything huge negatives, but it doesn't seem something we'll have to worry about here. We can Captain Eureka down the worst of these.
Let me hear you call our Emperor's name!
Shurimas, I have waited millennia to hear your cheers.
Who are we actually more afraid of? Like, I have to imagine if Golden Ambassador is his big play, not really worried about any of the future units coming down. I think we could probably just hit Nocturne.
Perseverance
He's
will lead
the one
to
that threatens the most damage onto our Great Horn Companion.
Let's hear it!
Your Emperor commands.
And it's not like ultra unreasonable to think he's not going to have a combat trick here. Shurima doesn't have any that'll help him survive combats, and then Shadow Isles doesn't have any at all. I can't remember the last time I saw a Mark of the Isles. I think it technically lives here in a sense, but I don't think I've seen someone play Mark of the Isles on us in a year. Cool, so cool, good stuff, good stuff. So let's see. I'm really wanting to pick up the Demacia champion, and boy, here we go. Here's the payoff. Am I right? Coming in with the Battlesmith and the Vanguard Bannerman. Here we go. I'm never really excited about adding Garens to my deck, but you know, this is exactly what we're looking for. Exactly what we're needing. Like, glad to finally have this payoff show up. Might end up being this 4-champion deck. This is I kind of always have these ideas of this 4-champion deck with you know, like siphoning strikes. We typically talk about stacking 3 of one champion and 1 of another one. So the siphoning strike, you know, let's say throughout the course of the game, you know, we draw 2 Jarvans, then we're only going to get the value out of the strike once. But if we play 4 separate champions, then we're guaranteed to get that +2/+2 across the board. And so, like, I'm not ultra opposed to saying, you know, if we say see a Fiora or a Lucian in the next champion pack, and then, you know, we're able to trade into a siphoning strike or 2. Pretty powerful little concept. I really like how siphoning strike adds payoff in different places to where, you know, we usually just stack 1 champion, but now we're getting some payoff to playing 4 different ones. But nonetheless, this Battlesmith Bannermen are just way too good. Exactly what we were hoping to find. Okay. Good. Things are picking up. It's hopefully kind of realized we're trying to be in elites. Still be okay to pick up some exhausts, but feels good. Get the old Bannerman going. Probably, given my recent non-successes with with the Legion's units, I probably should have gone and leveled up that Bannerman while I was at it. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, this tends to be kind of like a disruption Darius and not a good Darius, but I mean, he is playing 2 of them. Like, typically this puts you in the Darius that says, hey, I want to do stuns, but we'll see. With this, we need some earlier plays, much better. And say maybe we'll turn up a Grand Plaza or something that'll work with these Honored Lords. Cool. All the Honored Lords all the time. Tough if we want to actually like go for an open here. It's like, oh, he plays a 2 and trades for 2 mana, fine. But if he didn't have a play, I think we would end up wanting to open. I guess kind of tough because you can interact with whatever they play with our Fleet Feather Tracker, but you know, there's no guarantee that that's a good interaction. I guess kind of tougher as the game goes on here. Oh, not you. Let's get a 3 attack unit down. Should hopefully be able to trade with any of his 3 cost units. Works for me. Alright, and I'm trying to think if there's ever like a world where we want to just play the Lookout and bank up a couple of mana. I think with this Runeweaver we most certainly don't. Should stop him from attacking here since we have the threat of a value block, and then we can just try to hook it down next turn. If that's what it amounts to. Okay. As you can see, this would be great if we had a Challenger generator. I'm not like real excited about ever playing Confront to attack. Sure. We just take a pop bomb here. Probably pretty okay with this. It gets a little worrisome when you're playing against a deck with 2 Dariuses, but I think we're kind of safe here. This is still at least a good target for a Screeching Dragon to take down. Of course, on the most awkward of times. I think this is still fine. If it comes down to it next turn, we can just play Battlesmith, Honored Lord, Vanguard Lookout all at the same time. We probably don't want to be playing back-to-backs next turn. We should probably protect our dragon. If he gets uses a combat trick to trade, I'm fine with him doing it on Gallant Rider, but I'd ideally be able to protect this Screeching Dragon, and so don't think he would want to be like playing a Might here, but uh-oh. Oh, friend, I'm sorry. Yeah, it seems good. It's a big old pile of stats we can be throwing onto the board. Do we ever want to back-to-back this down? We do have to, like, realistically worry about this now. So we probably just have to look to back-to-back here. What do we think about just trading this off? I think this seems fine. Let's just block and see if we can't get a trade. And then if he invests a card and we can survive with a back-to-back, then maybe we'll go for it then. Yeah. That's okay. And most importantly here, out of this, we stay at 11. So his Darius won't flip as a result of what we're doing here. Could be critical. Ooh, an exhaust. Perfect timing for you to show up.
The finest Demosian steel.
There he is. Look at that. Look at that, hanging onto that point of health.
Years take. Experience.
Okay, so we can hook this Darius down with exhaust and kill it with a with our Gallant Rider. Right, he'll be a 5/5 into his Darius's 5 health. Do we ever need to war chef? We should probably just war chef it just to be safe. Or I guess we could also technically war chef our Honored Lord. Either way seems better than adding a Vanguard Lookout.
They will sing of our deeds here.
Something like this. Yeah, we're gonna do it like that. We have to get the war chefs on the left.
If you've hurt him,
That's how we'd like to go about it. Gonna kill his Darius. There's no plus health cards for 1 mana here, so that should be safe. I think this is fine. We'll just hang on to our 4/4 here and keep all of our stats going around.
you won't leave a scrap.
The only thing here is maybe we should have hit with the Battlesmith as well. We would have lost either the Battlesmith or the... he's not ultra scary. We would have lost either the Battlesmith or the War Chefs. Looks like we'll probably lose the Battlesmith here.
Out of my way! Come here.
Oh, cool. Takes a 2-attack unit down, but we preserve our health quite a bit. How do we want to go about this? I think we probably need to level up our Gallant Rider. If we level up our Honored Lord and he blocks with the Reckoners, it's going to take it down. I'm not sure what happens if he flips, if he hangs on to this +4/+4. Oh, doesn't matter. What a draw. LOL. Better lucky than good sometimes. Nice, nice. Oh, what a bonkers unit. Having burst attackers that big is pretty sweet. Okay. Well, this is another pretty not awesome set of trades. I'd love to pick up the Aegis, just not at a cost of the Elite. Like, I think if this was like a Vanguard Lookout for the Aegis, I might consider it. But it's just not the Defender. He's just too strong here. All right, I think we have to skip all of these. Ooh. Got our one big pick with the Garen. That was it. What you got? Let's see if we can get a mid-trial Poro bot. There we go. Maybe, maybe not. Thing's broken. Come on, game. Oh my goodness. There we go. This is gonna it's just gonna break right here at the beginning. Give him those red swirlies. I haven't seen those red swirlies in a while. Maybe it's not doing that too much anymore. Okay. Love to get this Ricochet out of our deck. This is pretty garbage. All right, come on. What are we waiting on here? Just got disconnect or something. Bad, you can't click on the things. Oh, maybe you can. Hang on. It's hard to tell, but I've been down here clicking on the little pools at the bottom right. I thought it might be doing something. Apparently, I'm not. Okay. I think we just want to add the Honored Lord, even though we don't have any tricks for it. Into a gearhead, maybe not. I think with him technically having 3 health, this is probably the safest way. I don't really see a way of him, you know, making this a 2 attack and protecting it this turn, but at least the Vanguard Defender can slow this down if it's a 2 attack. Whoa, that's aggressive. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Got it. Don't see too much happening out of Confront this turn, but if he plays something like Ballistic Bot or Niandroid, then we have just very good attacks across the board. The biggest of decisions. Certainly happening. This new music's kind of calming and stuff. I'm just sitting over here getting pissed off. The dude's gonna rope every turn of the game.
For the Empire!
Sure.
Form up!
These are the big decisions being made right here. You gotta plan it out, you know. 6, 7, 8 turns down the road. This is the time you have to stop and think about it. Okay. So at least here with our mana, it does get a touch awkward, right? We would really like to be adding Gallant Rider next turn, but I'm also kind of envisioning this world where, you know, we want to both confront and Garen on our next attack token. Can't do that if we play Gallant Rider, but now that we picked up a 1-drop, being able to play Honored Lord Cytherea, the next turn play Garen plus confront, that seems pretty good.
I hate having to put my face on.
Do we have a way to... We can Honored Lord Challenger down next turn, if that's what this amounts to. So I think I'm okay with that.
I'll write my own story.
We're just going to take this 5-hit from LeBlanc. His Gearhead shouldn't be a threatening unit this turn, unless he picked up like the +2 attack Reforge. I don't know if that's what he did, then we'll just have to block, but just taking a 5-hit here doesn't quite scare me.
Plug and play.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm still on board with this. We'll get this in front of LeBlanc. We'll get the Honored Lord on board. Next turn we'll add Garen. Then we'll confront, challenge down LeBlanc with our Honored Lord. Seems reasonable. And then hopefully we just have like too much stats for this guy to deal with at this point.
We fight for those who cannot.
Could also be an interesting world for a Ricochet. If he's going to have all of these low health units. I don't really want to invest in this right now, but it's a thought. This is a world where it may not be horrible against old LeBlanc.
Charged up and ready to go.
Especially against this stuff.
I'll turn the tide.
If you hurt him, I've learned a trick or two.
Okay, so I mean, we might lose our Garen here. This seems like a spot where we get blocked by a Prodigy plus a Mystic Shot frequently, but Oh, beautiful. That's a waste. Don't do this. You just never get a card that you can use this for. So we don't know the contents of his hand, but now he can't, spend his real mana on something because he converted it into a spell. Like, there's just rarely an opportunity where that's worthwhile. Yeah, well, my cat's doing something. What was that? I missed it. I was busy looking at the cat. He did something to kill our Garen. Gotcha. Okay, that's fine. Makes sense. Oh, interesting. We get this Great Horn Companion open with a Jarvan. I could definitely be behind that.
Let's make this a night to remember.
We just want to go ahead and try to kill his stuff, though. We can still do the same thing next turn. I'm pretty on board with this. Like, it does give him the option to like Guile our Great Horn Companion, but just go ahead and get this 2-for-1. Given the way that he played the previous turn, he probably doesn't have any units in his hand. I think this is pretty safe and reasonable. This is probably like the all-time best Ricochet we're ever going to get. Sure. Wow, that one. Why not the 3-2 Challenger?
Needs more testing.
Okay. So we can't Jarvan now, but with his board being empty, this feels pretty safe. Yeah, you gonna drop that Guile? Sure. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just drop the other Honored Lord. If he there's a wide variety of units that we can just hook down. Like, we can't hook down Victor, but it seems like he's probably only playing one copy. Sure. If he has a spell, absolutely, you got it. But I'm gonna say it seems like he kind of gave up on that previous turn when he calling struck our wrong unit. Okay, what do we think now that we've drawn Vanguard Redeemer? All right, we just have to block everything now.
The Vanguard will have to follow. Cut him down. Come on, boy.
And the ultimately the awkward thing is if we want to attack with, like, say, kind of like envisioning this play where we want to attack with Jarvan next turn, but he's going to have to hook down their Trifarian, which is just not ideal. So this is tough, right? Because we want to be taking down his companion and his Gallant Rider, then getting in an attack next turn where he just can't block with the Trifarian. But Jarvan doesn't play that game, so.
I stand strong.
Okay. I think we can probably still just card advantage through this, even without adding Jarvan to the board. He's only got one card left. I guess we do have this Challenger. Maybe that's the thing I'm missing here. We can just challenge his Trifarian, and then Jarvan will attack straight to his face. I'm on board with this.
If you hurt him, Prince Jarvan, you must come with me at once.
Barrett, let's see these fools off first, huh?
Cool. Okay. A little dangerous. Like, if he had a Whirling Death, he could have survived there, but even if he survives, he's in a pretty terrible spot. Okay, who do we pick up here? I don't think we ever want to pick up these Nasus cards, even though, if we're adding Shurima cards to our deck, these are ones we're pretty okay with. Like, if this was an Exhaust plus a Siphoning Strike, I'd probably really consider it, but adding in the 4-cost Vulnerable, not something I'm super interested in. But then, where it gets awkward, I'm never really a huge fan of adding multiple Garens to our deck, but we do get to pick up Vanguard Bannerman, or in comparison to this Jarvan over here with an additional challenge card and then a removal spell. It's pretty interesting Jarvan set, but I don't think we can pass on the power of this Vanguard Bannerman. Huh. Like, the only things I've been kind of like having issue with is that, we've been having trouble giving our Honored Lords Challenger, but I think we can play around that. We just got to pick up these Bannermen. They're too good. All right, we're getting there. Okay. Reasonable starts. Love to get rid of this Weight of Judgment. It's a trap, I swear. It's so weird to say that about removal spells, but it's just so weird in these Sharma decks. This Aphelios and Ribbon. Has to be safe enough, right? Are we ever just going to open next turn?
I have been sent by the king
I just put the
himself.
damage down. If he gets us, I mean, if he could get us with Diana or something here, but this is okay. Ooh, Fleet Feather Tracker. Real good if he just has one unit. Get to Fleet Feather Tracker and War Chef. That was ideally just going to play a War Chef and then playing on a Sharp Sighting, but
Flavor and spice.
it seems like he's up to shenanigans, but nothing that I don't think we're too worried about. Okay. Even if this is just like a 4 mana 3 damage to a unit, I think this is okay. Not adding anything to the board, which is our big worry at this point. Probably intimidated by how shiny our cards are. That was realistically how I chose the ordering of the units to put down. I said, is this unit premium? Yes. Alright, let's get him down then. Sure.
Batter 'em. Eat up, friend.
Eat up. I say 1 mana shortage is slamming this down, but I don't think we want to invest too much here. I'm not real interested in playing Weight of Judgment. I want to go into the next turn with the 2 mana banked for Sharp Sight and then add Heavy Infantry. I think this is pretty fine. I mean, I feel like this guy's trying to get us with a Diana, but we can play through Diana with our Sharp Sight.
Both broken. Violence to end violence.
Not a real intimidating piece of damage right here, and I kind of prefer to give the illusion of us not having combat tricks. So who do we ever want to boost? We probably still just want to boost the Fleet Feather Tracker in the event that he has a +1/+1 for this Mountain Goat. So I'm fine to just do this.
Can't fight on an
Then we'll try to Sharp Sight in this combat.
No looking back.
And do we ever consider just passing here? Like, I feel like with his attack last turn that he still has a trick. It's pretty bad if he just gets to take this down. Let's just pass.
eyes bigger.
Not super worried about this ribbon. I don't want to fall into the trap of being like, this is a champion and we have to worry about it. I think we can work around this. Okay. Aphelios is the scarier champion. This is going to be getting a Weight of Judgment thrown at him. I don't know if this Weight of Judgment will be good, but it's worth it. It still feels like he has a combat trick. He's been trying to Pale Cascade onto this ribbon. get your Nightfall. The card coming out of this, it should be the stun, right? It's been a while since I've had all this going on. Yeah, it's the stun. Okay. So I do worry that this is going to get a Pale Cascade, which is kind of awkward here, but I think we'd be okay from this point forward. It's the big things he's not adding to the board. Yeah, seems reasonable. I feel like he's going to attack into us. We're going to get to sharp sight it down, and then this Jarvan will be pretty good next turn. Not going to be a lethal because our cavalry will be stunned, but pretty good spot nonetheless. Okay.
A crescent path opens before us.
Interesting.
Ready to do my part.
Not a bad pickup. Essentially just getting another removal spell out of his
I'm cold, I'm hungry, and there's rocks in me boat.
out of his moon weapons. This is a little scary. We can't actually deal with... If we can't take this Aphelios down, we'll just lose. This is just the actual... one of the best late game champions in the game. Like, he's no Aurelian Soul, but he's right up there. And if he gets another turn of playing 2 and 3 moon weapons, then we're just going to lose. So, the actual big problem here is if we come in with this Jarvan attack like we're about to do, he's going to hook Riven. Or, oh god, he's actually going to hook this Glory Seeker, isn't he? There's nothing else we can do about it. I think we've lost this one now. We can't. Without being able to deal with this Aphelios, I think we're done.
I've got the reins.
It must be done.
Okay, I don't think it's worth protecting our unit here.
A noble end.
Ours is but to do and die.
Right, I think we might need this sharp sight to just try to close out the game. We'll see how that plays out. Garen is kind of threatening to what he's doing next turn. Just decimate. What? Okay. Was that his second spell, though? What? Okay. Ugh. This is the problem we run into when we have too many expensive cards. We just play one card a turn. It's a real problem. This is what I've talked about as being the nice, he missed. Talked about being the Shurima problem as far as this set is concerned. That's why I talk a lot of trash about Weight of Judgment and really picking and choosing what 4-cost cards you play out of Shurima. You can't find yourself in these spots to where you just have 4 cards in your hand, but you can only play one of them. Okay. He's going to play that. He's going to get the stun back out of it. The stun is ultimately not too scary. So I don't think we're like too far behind, but I'm still not really excited about our position here. Need him to like attack poorly and get a Garen flip. I can't imagine he attacks into this board, which is kind of our saving grace, but I assume he's a good chance that he just plays like the stun. Oh. Okay. No way he attacks with this, right? Okay, so he's up to 7. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, buddy. Uh-oh, buddy.
Do your worst.
Sorry, friend. So, I mean, we're pretty far away from lethal now, but dealing with that was huge. Our board is still pretty big. We're about to get a Screeching Dragon going. Well, seems good. We just don't have the interactive cards that we really need here for Jarvan to be good. It's like he got his one attack in, now he's not going to do anything the rest of the game. I mean, I guess we can get him to flip, but we have a Garen Screeching Dragon, so it's going to be kind of a landmark for a while, but alright, I think we want to send everything in. I don't think we can attack with Jarvan, but if we get a trade with Gallant Rider, I'm cool with it. If we get a trade with Vanguard Cavalry, I'm cool with it. Losing Garen is kind of bad, but it's not the end of the world. Light Seam spend some mana here, of course. I don't think he changes anything though. Gives him a Nightfall, which would make a Pale Cascade better, but ultimately I think I'm okay with that. Pale Cascade is not good onto this board. These are the spots I talk about when we're really wanting. Oh god, nice draw. When we're really wanting a that rally thing, you know, whatever the barrier rally card is. You know, that's just so tough for us to close out these games. He's dealing with a unit slowly. He's getting to you know, just put down a blocker that he doesn't care about and still just keep churning on his moon weapons. This is like the exact spot I'm talking about where Elites has trouble winning games. So, let's see, I don't really want to throw away a Great Horn Companion in front of this, but it's like our health gets super low if we don't. I really kind of want to get this boosted Radiant.
I sense their power.
Comes down with... This is going to get him to a Riven Sword. Riven Sword would be painful here. Yeah, he's going to have Riven Sword now.
Even shattered hearts mend in time.
Alright, this is pretty bad.
Reforged, redeemed.
Do anything about her? She's going to be a... We just have to add Radiant now. Not anything we can do about it.
Justice will be served.
This Aphelios just doesn't attack because it's a bad attack, but then he's looking at 15 overwhelm. Maybe we should have saved the Radiant and just blocked with our Gallant Rider and hope for the best. I think this is probably a mistake in hindsight. Just got kind of scared with what was happening here. Oh. Okay, well, that's going to do it. Unfortunate. Just a little too much. I think that is where, you know, we have the problem with our deck, though, is we don't have quite enough interactive abilities. But here, getting rid of Mobilize for Captain Erika, sure he's expensive, but Mobilize is trash. So I'm glad to get rid of that. It would be cool getting rid of Ricochet as well, but the Emperor's Divide, also not what our deck is trying to do. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that game, I haven't had the chance to bitch about Kindred, but that game like perfectly displays my absolute problem with Kindred, and being, you know, we would have had our one opportunity to deal with him. He had the answer to it, and so we just lose the game. It's just like the kind of the same thing applies to Aphelios. It's just like kind of the illusion of having more time, to whereas Kindred, it's just the game immediately ends. So I don't at least feel like we were out of that game against Aphelios, and it did take him 2 Aphelioses to close it out. If that Aphelios was a Kindred, we would have just had no chance. But pretty aggressive draw here. We can get this Vanguard Squire down on 3. That's the kind of thing we're looking to do. Which seems pretty good given the makeup of our hand with this Confront now.
The young prince will be found.
Just taking it, huh? Get that challenge on us? Pretty okay with that. Yeah.
You won't leave a scrap.
Got it.
I've learned a trick or two. I have been sent by the king himself.
My journey continues.
Alright, let's get him in there. That's pretty good, right? We got a board and he doesn't. We're about to add a Garen next turn when he can't open on us. It seems pretty reasonable. Plays Detain? Okay. Kind of leaves us in the same spot. I mean, he's never going to try and get like a hook kill with this Honored Lord. Maybe he does, but I have a hard time imagining it. He's tapped out, so we can safely play Garen. He's going to pick on our 3/3 with his Screeching Dragon, but really, you're just going to give us the unit back like that? Okay.
The young prince will be found.
I think we want to start with Weight of Judgment. This is always a good enough unit. Not quite ready to just throw Garen into the mix. Okay, you should be safe now. Let's just bank. Okay, we can get some big boys down.
Flavor and spice. We arrived as soon as we could. Good to fight.
Yeah, it's like a back-to-back. This is devastating, but otherwise we should be okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Don't think he can really do anything here. I mean, he has like a good hook onto Honored Lord. He's going to try to hook Garen with a boost, but making it through this is pretty big. He spent a ton of stats here. Yep. Yep, that's about right. But I mean, what was Guy supposed to do if he's probably not going to win if he's not taking down that Garen? So I mean, no hate, nothing wrong with that. It's just we were in a better spot there. All right, cool. Here's our Penitent Squires. These are the guys that we're, I guess, the gals that we're really looking for to give us additional ways to get challengers, and so this is kind of the premier way to give challengers from the Jarvan side of things. So I would, prefer to hang on to the Redeemer and be getting rid of just, I don't know, even getting rid of this Great Horn Companion, something expensive. But this feels like where we're really hurting with our 4 Honored Lord 2 Bannerman deck is just having that early game play that gives us challenger. Alright, interesting with the Silver Zoe package, the old let's just make all of my units super good and close out the game. Okay, this will be a little bit better on the even attacks, but reasonable start nonetheless, and of course it's all premium, so that means it's actually much better than it appears. Silver LeBlanc Zoe, okay. What is this thing? What the hell? I have like a face. It says like a light in place of a face. The fuck is this? That's the creepiest shit I'm gonna see today. Jesus, let's stick to these cats. Okay. Exciting. Love a Grand Plaza. So nothing changes here. I mean, can't really take advantage of this until our 5th turn, but want to keep that in mind as these turns go on. Okay, so he's our only play here, so let's go ahead and get this taken care of, and then we can follow up with the Plaza. Sure. Feels worth a card to me.
Nothing can stop me.
Alright, we just solved all our Challenger problems. How much of this do we care about? Like, I'm pretty cool with just playing Weight of Judgment on the Trifarian and then playing Silverwing Vanguard Squire next turn. That seems pretty reasonable. Right? Do we have the mana to do that? We have 4. Well, we have 4 now, so that would be 1 mana short. Kind of similarly, we can just play the Squire to throw in front of the Trifarian.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
Or we can look to just... I think we're just stuck playing the Challenger now. This is fine. I think with this, with the Plaza on board and these big boys in hand, as long as we aren't dying here, we're okay. Like, we don't care to trade off our War Chefs for any of this stuff.
Face me!
Noxus!
Might as well put the extra chunk of damage on if we don't have any ways to return these Vanguards to our hand. Does Battlesmith change anything? He's actually pretty good here, right? We can Battlesmith into Vanguard Squire and then just pick on whatever else he plays. Like, we're going to have a good hook on the Trifarian. Now, the Battlesmith is a good hook onto Zoe. We can pick on any unit that he plays with either a 4/3 Squire or with our other Vanguard. This seems pretty good to me. It's just like, we had like the little bit too awkward mana to just have a big blowout play with the Squire, but I didn't realize. We only pushed a button on my keyboard and made all this LOR Guardian stuff show up. But, okay. Not ideal, but worth a card in this spot.
Ready to do my part.
I've got just the thing for you.
Pretty reasonable, right? I don't think we need to push in the damage now. I think as long as we're getting these challenges in with the Grand Plaza, we're just gonna start getting, like, overwhelming his board, right? Once we start challenging with, like, Vanguard Cavalries and getting, you know, free attacks, I think we'll be pretty safe. Okay. Ever just want to Weight of Judgment this thing to get rid of it? Like, otherwise we're just trading with it, right? I think this is fine. This also leaves us in a spot to where if we, like, pick up another unit next turn, the Bannerman will still just be incredibly good. I guess another unit we can play. It has to be one of these cheap guys, but Ricochet's not it. Okay.
Side by side, into battle.
It's just like churning out more Equinoxes. This is still pretty good for us. So many just not good cards out of this. Like, you get the stun card, but that doesn't really help him win the game. It just helps him lose it slower. Okay. It's still risky for him to add units here when we have these challengers in the Grand Plaza. very good chance he just passes it back without doing anything.
I stand for Noxus.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I mean, kind of hurting for space on our bench anyways, so not super upset about that. There's our boy. And our mana's been such awkward this game between now wanting to get like 2 plays down with the Bannerman, but
All that glitters is mine.
we're okay. Do you ever do anything? Not really. Let's just play Bannerman. If this gets us in a spot now where... I told you. No one wants to believe it when I say this shit, but should have made him premium. Alright, well, I don't want to risk our Vanguard Cavalry here. Let's just try to take down this Rock Bear where we can. If he does something to win this combat, it's okay. And then see if we can't get a Jarvan play down next turn. Sure. Pretty easily kill Sivir with Jarvan. Ever want to Ricochet? Just roll the dice on taking down this Rock Bear. Why not? Right? We don't have any other spells. If we kill this Rock Bear, that's huge. I don't know what the percentage chance of this is. It has to be pretty low, but I think this is good. I was like, oh man, he's even gonna play combat tricks? Nice. but no, this is fine. That happened. Nothing. Oh, does it hit her spell shield and just stop? Is that what happened there? Like we hit the Rock Bear, then the Sivir, and it quit?
One way to test him out.
Okay.
That lance is gonna be a hell of a payday.
If you mean it'll cost you your life, then yes.
Again, combat tricks here. Fine if he takes down our cavalry. Don't really care. Yeah, this isn't a win. This is a trade, and so getting a free 2-for-1 out of that pretty big. Sivir flips, but then she dies. That's his last copy. No, is he playing 2 Sivers? He might have one in the future here. Yeah, he's playing 2 copies, but it's a pretty good spot for us to be in. Gonna have this 10 attack Nasus next turn. Oh, he's gonna pop our... That's not cool, dude. Can't say I approve of that. This is fine. I don't think it really matters here. I think we're just gonna close this out. He can't attack now. Right? Well, he can attack with the Trifarian, I guess, but if we get a Slay before Nasus blocks, then he'll get the flip. Right? Yeah, Boomerang Blade. Hit the big and the little? Sure.
Ready for deployment.
Close. He's reasonably close to flipping. We can't flip Jarvan off of this attack here, but we can flip him with Screeching Dragon next turn, maybe. Or I guess depending on how we attack, we could arrange this right. We get the Slay on the left attack. I think that seems reasonable. You just can't attack here, right? It's too dangerous.
Perhaps they realize they've already lost.
Dig it. I dig it, Jarvan. Talk that shit. I guess they realize they've already lost. Alright, boss, what's up? You're not blocking the stuff next turn, so... Okay. I think we should add units. It seems very tough for him to add 2 units here. I don't think there's any punishes for just running a bunch of stuff out. Okay, good deal. Good deal. Alrighty, we're getting there. We're getting there. Can't believe it. Missed the banner. Ugh. Story of my life as far as this expedition goes. Missing allegiances all over the place. Okay, what can we do here? Like, you know, trading Nasus for Quinn is, you know, kind of interesting. She's a little bit better here. We don't have a lot of Quinn combos, but she could be somewhat interesting. I think Nasus is fine. I'm more interested in getting rid of this Weight of Judgment and picking up the Honored Lord. It's just, you know, it's another elite. It's another early game play. It's just kind of everything where we're really hurting gets kind of fixed by Honored Lord. If we could just pick up more Honored Lords, more Penitent Squires, and then maybe have a real removal spell that isn't Captain Erika, I'd feel pretty good about this, but feels reasonable. Fixed our allegiance as well, since, you know, we're 4 cards of the opposing faction's apparently too many, so it's good to drop it down to 3. That's absurd. Just the actual lowest of rolls. Alright, that's a reasonable start. Let's see if we can't mess up getting this tattered banner into our hand. Good, he'll be good on turn 3. Gotta mess this up the next time you summon an ally this round, so we need to make sure we save our Honored Lord for the 3rd turn if we're gonna try to put the banner on it. The first few times I had to play with that, I had it you know, kind of locked into my head that it was a spell that you played on a unit, not a spell that you played and then the next unit got, and so we certainly messed this up a few times. Don't feel bad if you do that on your own. We've certainly done it. Okay, and then how do we ever get him to play units here? Okay, he'll just do it on his own. So, I was kind of like envisioning this scenario where, like, what if we play Fleet Feather Tracker and bank a spell mana, then next turn we have 4 mana in total, one of which is getting spent on the banner. That doesn't seem that interesting. I think we're fine to just you know, take a 4 here, and then next turn just play Honored Lord, Feather Tracker, and the banner. So let's at the defender. Gonna have to take a 4. Not a big deal. Can't imagine he's ever the aggro. Banner.
For the prince.
Lord.
The young prince will be found.
Well, let's see what we can do. It's kind of unfortunate for us if the extent of our turn is hooking a scavenger. Because it's not even safe, right? If he has a brittle steel or something, we're not guaranteed to win this combat. This doesn't seem like... I don't think there's a lot of brittle steels running around in Trundle. I can't remember exactly what his kind of common combat suite is, but... Okay.
I mustn't stop.
If you hurt him,
Yeah, I think we gotta just send it all. If he wants to take the value hit to take the additional damage, I think that's okay.
I've learned a trick or two.
I don't think this is worth a save. We'll get. I want to save the sharp sight for when he like plays a Trundle or something. I don't want to spend it now. This gets us in a pretty good spot next turn where we're banked up for the sharp sight plus Vanguard Cavalry. Feels pretty safe. I'd imagine that he just plays like a Daybreak Priestess or something here. Babbling Beard, kind of the same deal.
In formation. These are troll lands.
Okay, so how bad is this if we get Troll Chanted? You know, say we want to... I think it's safe enough as far as this guy's concerned. Right, since he can't win the combat, he can just not lose it, but I don't want to invest like this whole big board trying to sharp sight down Battling Bjerg and then just have everything fail because of a Troll Chant. That seems pretty bad for us. We're starting to get some big boys online. Can't give him Challenger. A little unfortunate. We just want to bring the squad and then hook the Wild Claw. I think I dig this.
Just a little farther.
So we may not be able to like sharp sight down his Trundle, but he shouldn't be winning any combats here.
You got a problem?
Interesting, he didn't block the Vanguard. Harsh Winds, same thing. So he's not winning the combat, he's just not losing it. That's fine. Now we're good to Battlesmith on our Lord. Next turn we can Captain Erika something. I think this is still decent. This is certainly not a spot we want to be getting in against an Aurelion Soul deck, but you know, with them being pretty close to dead, I could see this being okay. Might be able to close it out with a Ricochet. Then this can play to our favor for a little bit. If he wants to Ice Pillar, then we can Erika his Trundle.
One troll to rule 'em all.
If we are to survive, we must fight.
Okay, that's a pretty good open, right? Gonna hook onto the Ice Pillar with Battlesmith. He only has one blocker at this point. I have to assume he's gonna play more units, but if he just plays like a 6/6 or something here, then that's pretty good for us. Yeah, how to get this over with before he adds Aurelion Soul. Okay. So now, well, he's got to just play something more, right? But we have just lethal on board now. Trundle Quake. It's going to kill 3 units. That's pretty good. Do we want to protect any of this from Trundle Quake? Do we have a lethal? Well, we can hit for 7 next turn with Erika, right? Let's say we come in with Erika, we hit with Nasus for 6. Or no, we can hit with Erika for 7, then we're pretty close to killing with Ricochet. Okay. Wish we had an overwhelm into this weakened Ice Pillar, but
Safe in our hands.
is what it is. If he plays a unit, this is so bad for us, but I don't see the other way around that. That Trundle Quake was just too good. And that was like a physical Trundle Quake, right? That wasn't any of this Ooh. Ooh, that could be it. That wasn't any of these no nonsense weak Trundle Quakes. That was a real deal. It wasn't a flip. We took his Trundle off the board. Oh god, not an avalanche. Feel the rush? Okay. Do we beat Feel the Rush? We hook Aurelion Soul Soraka? Yeah, we beat Feel the Rush. Okay. Good game, friend. You don't have any mana. You can just just pass it and let's see if I mess this up. You rage quit? Feel the rush rage quit? So Alright, we're getting there.
Patience and fortitude outlast all things.
So let's see. Let's get ready for this final battle. Oh, beautiful. I mean, I'd love to pick up a Bannerman, but getting rid of this Ricochet for a Penitent Squire, that's beautiful. That's as beautiful as it's going to get here. Good stuff. Okay, Nasus for Garen. Could get behind that. Don't want an expensive combat trick for a cheap one. And trading out the Companion for a removal spell is kind of interesting. I just don't really want these companions. That's where our deck is kind of weak here. Is this glut of expensive shit we got in the middle to the end of our curve. I think this is okay. Nasus isn't ideal here, but I'm on board with that. And then converting the Strafing Strike into a Battlesmith, that works for me. Just gotta have these elite activators. Okay, picking up a Judgment feels pretty good. Redoubled Valor. We don't have any combos with this, so especially after we just traded out our Great Horn Companion, our only really good remaining combo with Redoubled Valor is, Screeching Dragon and Radiant, but this is just kind of making a lot of stats. Judgment's a big game winner. Okay, here's a real one. Do we want to pick up this Vanguard Sergeant? I think we do. Just having access to these 4 Demacias, when we talked about that turn against like the Aphelios deck to where we're just like so far ahead on board, but we can't actually close out a game, then the 4 Demacia, fantastic way to pull that off. And our last one, don't think we need 3 Captain Arikas, don't want Mobilize, and I'd rather not pick up a Swiftwing Lancer, so I think we can skip over all of these. Okay. Right, here we go. Yeah, this turned out reasonable. Very happy with how we traded into this. We were kind of able to see where we wanted it to go. Kind of got ourselves there through the trades. Good stuff. Good stuff. Zir and Lucian. Okay. I'm curious. I mean, this is kind of one of these awkward spots to where this whole hand just sucks. It's like if the Lucian was over here on the left where he's playing 3 Lucians, then I would probably want to keep Lookout Sharp Sight, but either just 1 or 2 Lucians, I feel a little okay with just mulliganing for a higher quality hand without having to worry about a Lucian blowout, and we certainly got there. It's a great start.
Nothing escapes my notice.
And I don't think we need to really count on doing anything with the Honored Lord this turn. If he plays something particularly juicy, I was going to say if he plays a Lucian here, we can still hook him down. But I was going to say I don't think we need to add Honored Lord. We can play for value here and try to get him a bonus. Beautiful. That's absolutely juicy exhaust. No, kind of like interested in this strategy, right? If you're going to be making a bunch of Sand Soldiers and then having those Sand Soldiers die for Lucian, I think that's kind of interesting. Not one of these strategies I'd really considered, but could be cool. Okay, still a pretty safe block. The thing we'll come down to now is like, do we just have to spew off this Bannerman, or can we get a real play going here? We have to spew.
Raise the banner. Lift our spirits.
Ton of stats. I mean, if we'd been able to go into a 2 and do a 2, I would have considered it differently, but this is the value of old Bannerman here, coming down and adding, 8, 10, 12 stats for 4 mana. And then the question here is, do we ever attack with the Battlesmith? I think so. As far as the makeup of our hand is concerned now, we don't get any real bonuses out of this this +1/+1. So if he wants to play, if he wants to play like a Shaped Stone to win a combat against Battlesmith, completely fine. It's not going to be a winner. It's just going to be a trade.
Remember the fallen.
Sure. Getting to the point here where we can build up to Judgment as well. I mean, Judgment on Screeching Dragon, pretty reasonable. We'll see. I don't think that's going to be a kind of a next turn kind of play. This is the same thing. Why is he attacking with a Zir? It feels the same. Like, if he has, say, Sharp Sight, okay. The only thing that like really punishes this is if he has a riposte, and I think I'm willing to risk this being a riposte play. Let's ignore that E mode. I think that was a bait, but at the end of the day, are we willing to trade a Honored Lord for a riposte? I'm pretty okay with that. The way that this is not good is if he has, say, a Shaped Stone. Well, Shape Stone would still be +1/+1, but yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. And if he trades 2 mana for 2 mana, I think this is okay. Riposte is fine. So, clever work with the emote, but you know, he's not going to be able to add anything to the board here, and I'm more than happy to be trading that 4 mana for 2 mana. So the question that shows up now is, do we want to bank 2 mana next turn so that we can try to like play a Judgment? Don't feel like excited about that. I think we just want to add Screeching Dragon, and then we can try to War Chef down as a Zir if we need to. I'm not like stoked about throwing War Chefs into his Vanguard Redeemer, but maybe it's what we do. We have the mana. We do have the mana for all this, so let's play War Chefs. That kind of makes it obvious that we're planning on sending our dragon into a Zir, but then we do have this Honored Lord Confront play to at least tackle his Vanguard Redeemer. I think this is good. I do think, you know, we do have to come back and kind of occasionally reevaluate these cards. Like, if you're a regular follower, we do talk a lot about Cursed Keeper, the 2-cost unit that lasts breath into the 4/3. Used to absolutely hate it. Now I'm pretty lukewarm to it. I still do not like Confront. You know, it's served a purpose here and hasn't been terrible, but I would much rather this be a Penitent Squire. So it's not like as horrible as it used to be. If we could give it like half an X, I think I would be okay with that. But I'm not real happy with where he's at right now. It's even though it's been reasonably okay here.
Good. Now we turn our sights to further shores.
They will sing about you hurt him.
Okay.
Can't fight on an empty stomach.
Seems good. I'm sure he can combat trick out of this to some degree, but shouldn't be able to stop everything here.
Someday you see.
Okay.
I've learned a trick or two.
Our ancestors are
Got it, boss. What up, Bannerman? Just so much stats. So much stats. How much of this do we like realistically have to care about, especially knowing that we're about to drop a Bannerman behind? I think we just don't even really want to mess with this. Kind of the ideal that we have here is being able to like Judgment next turn if we want to, but I think more realistically what we do is we just play Bannerman here, bank up 3, Captain Erika away his Azir, and then come in with everything, especially when we have 2 challengers in the mix.
Words move hot.
Okay.
Tell the people what you have seen today.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna kill him next turn, but we have so much. We should have so much stats over top of what he's doing. But do we ever just want to try to get a Judgment in? Do they ever have like real punishes for that? Right, the idea kind of being is we're just gonna get this hook onto Azir, then Judgment everything off of him. Because he's just gonna be coming in and blocking everything. I think I dig this. This is okay. So let's do this. Azir. Something that looks reasonable like this. Try to get him to block with these other things and then kill with Judgment. Now, if he has like a Concerted Strike or a Detain, this is going to be bad. But it's at least these are going to be trades and these aren't going to be a big bunch of value blocks. That seems reasonable, right? From the sense of us just making a big open attack, it doesn't seem like, you know, this is a incoming Judgment. Oh, spend all that mana. Feels so much better when he's going to spend all this mana.
Come!
Play 2 of these? Where does the other one go? Just disappear? Oh, it didn't come into play because he had too many units or something? Okay. Look at all those stats. Alright, have fun recovering from that.
Blessings of abundance.
Cool. Alright, there you have it. Nice little run with the elites. Good stuff. And so yeah. Pretty happy with how that panned out, and I'm feeling pretty good about how we like to pursue these Jarvans. And so we'll get the recap up here, talk about it a little more. Let me see. Click all these buttons. And so yeah, so you know, when it comes to Jarvan, we kind of touched on him in the previous trial, some of the problems that we ran into. But I think we're pretty spot on with how you want to pursue this. You know, you almost always want to pair him with Shurima. You don't care which Shurima pairing it is. You probably just want to be doing that, and then from that point forward, yeah, like you know, it kind of puts you in the spot to where you have these 3 decks to look at. You're either going to end up in elites, where you want to be an almost mono Demacia deck. You want to end up in this kind of Super Friends deck we talk about, where you're focusing on leveling up your champions with +2/+2s. That's going to be a Shurima Allegiance deck, or you're going to try to get into this actual just Challengers theme. And as we found out with the Challengers, the big important thing there is having ways to attack and not have your units die. So, you know, commonly Honored Lord, less commonly because he's rare, Gallant Rider, those being your big important units. But you know, with this one, we you know, realized pretty quickly that we were just going to end up in elites, which is fine. You know, it's a reasonable deck. It feels pretty powerful now. You know, because as I've kind of mentioned with elites, the problems that we run into. You know, having enough early game plays helps with, now that we have access to Penitent Squire and Honored Lord, having ways to interact. You know, it's a little bit easier now that we have, again, Penitent Squire and some of these Challenger cards out of other factions. And then having a way to just actually close out the game, which, you know, we didn't end up with the barrier rally card, but, you know, that's a big addition to these style of decks. And so, you know, the only thing I feel like, you know, we were really missing out on here was the what's it called? The Jarvan flip, the thing that lets you get the free challenge attack in, so you can, you know, challenge on your opponent's turn, or you can get you know, additional challenges with Honored Lord. This felt like, in general, we were a little bit light on the Challenger theme, but that's just going to happen whenever you just try to go into the Demacia allegiance. But, you know, realistically, I was pretty happy with how this turned out. I think the big pick of the trial that really wasn't obvious was this pick 4, where we took the Confront and the Redoubled Valor, in general pretty weak cards, over the dragon-based cards, and then I think that just held strong throughout the remainder of the trial. We didn't have to deal with, you know, seeing all these packs that have a bunch of expensive dragons in it. I think that was a problem with our previous Jarvan trial, and I was very glad with how this played out, right? Because if we're going to try and like shape the packs that are going to show up for us, you know, in a way that's going to help us build towards elites. We don't want dragons showing up. We want Demacian Steel showing up. We want Challenger Jarvan showing up, which we managed to pull off. But then, as you know, the additional, you know, if we're only going to see a bunch of Demacia packs, what are the additional ones we want to show up? We want those to be like the Fiora packs and the Lucian packs that have all these kind of early game aggressive units in it, and then have things like barriers, and then kind of like push away from just the big giant stat based ones like. Kind of like your Quins, your Shyvanas, like those pools, they can be reasonable, but you know, we just don't want expensive cards showing up, especially knowing right at the beginning our deck was so curve heavy. And so, yeah, this felt pretty reasonable. We had a pretty good Grand Plaza once, but it's of course not as ridiculous as it used to be. You know, these 5 Honored Lords, I do like how these kind of let you pivot in your strategy. You know, especially if we'd been able to pick up like Honored Lords at pick 3 and pick 4, as to where you'd be like, well, you know, I'm really open to building towards challengers. I'm really open to building towards elites, but I don't have to, you know, 100% commit when I'm picking up Honored Lords. But this guy was, you know, he was fantastic. Just a you know, a 3-2 for 2, always good enough. 3-2 for 2 elite, probably good enough on its own. You know, not something that we're excited about, kind of like Cytheria, but something we're glad to have. And then just having this Challenger ability, absolutely powerful. So good stuff. Good stuff with the Honored Lord here. Pretty happy with how this draft came about. You know, at the end of the day, our only real problems were just having too much top end and then missing like one removal spell. You know, if we had a detain or a concerted strike, I'd have ultimately been pretty happy with this. I would have loved to have been able to trade away like one Vanguard Cavalry and the Radiant and a Garen, just to have some kind of cheaper things, but nonetheless, this turned out pretty well. Very, very good pivot, a very good, you know, hang on to it and just give things some time to play out and wait on the Bannerman to show up. So that worked out pretty well. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Looks like we do have a number of rewards to click on here, so let's see what shows up. This is not a cat, never using it. the easiest analysis you can do on these cards. On these things. Is it a cat? Nope. Alright, well we're never playing that. Alright, welcome to the team, Azir. I think he is probably like the worst champion for us to be opening up, given that we bought the event pass. Like, I'm not 100% how this plays out, but you get this prismatic Azir at the very end, and so we probably don't need to be opening up Azirs, but you know, we don't have any reason to sit around and complain about our collection. We're doing just fine. Alright, the last one is this like 25 prismatics. Help me save my wallet. Good deal. But yeah, that is going to do it for us today. Hope you all learned the ways of the elites a little bit better. You maybe had a good time watching and learned a thing or two along the way. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.